Right after I graduated from college, I got a job with Ford Motor Company as a management trainee in 1972. That was in Utica, Michigan. I stayed there for a while. I was unhappy with the position and decided that I wanted to move to Traverse City. And so I left Ford Motor Company and moved up to Traverse City without a job. I landed a job with Essex Wire at the time, which later became United Technologies Automotive. And I was in the production control department, just doing receiving and shipping and doing some scheduling. I was there for 7 years. And after that, I decided, well, I had an opportunity to move to North Carolina to manage a racquetball club and become the club pro. So I did that, and that was for a while, but I really wasn't happy in Raleigh, North Carolina. It didn't fit my lifestyle. So I decided to move back to Traverse City in 1980, and lucky to land a job again with United Technologies, one of the other plants, as the production control manager at that time. It's there where I learned all my computer skills and the ability to do things. I developed some programs that won some awards with United Technologies and actually got promoted to the corporate barcode manager by the president of the company for things that we did, like inventory control with barcodes. I developed a paperless quality system, and we had everything in the plant and the actual locations labeled at barcode, and everything was tracked by barcodes. And it became very, very prevalent in United Technologies, and I was able to disseminate that to some other United Technologies plants. Well, being a computer programmer at that time, since I learned how to do that, I decided to start my own company. So I left United Technologies and I started a company called Portable Data Technologies. And that was based on the premise of what I designed at United Technologies in a quality system that was completely paperless. So I started that program. I called the program, or the actual program that we wrote, called Qualsoft, and we went out and tried to sell that. We found that that was very tough to do without any money. So we actually raised some money um, to start a company called Portable Data Technologies, which the money was put in by various entities, like from Amway and some Bilmar Farms, and also in Traverse City, some personal investors to start the company, as well as a big company that was nationally known and internationally known, Symbol Technologies, who put in a substantial amount of money to get this started. So we started that, and I received some accolades from that, and I'll cover that a little bit later. After a while, 11 years actually, we actually sold Portable Data Technologies, and I decided that I was going to do something different. So I ended up at Tower Automotive in Traverse City and became the materials manager, where they brought me in to develop some of the barcode systems and control inventory, which we did, and I won some awards for that. And then after about a year, I had an opportunity actually to move on to become a vice president of industrial applications for a company called Freedom Technologies, which basically had software that did all the things that I did, what I developed in the previous years. So I worked there for quite a while as a sales representative and a vice president of industrial applications. After that term, I was already getting to my retirement years, and I decided to get into real estate. And I ended up with Keller Williams Real Estate and was a real estate salesman, was successful at that, and actually retired. After leaving Raleigh, North Carolina, and the racquetball club, I moved back to Traverse City, where I landed a job with United Technologies Automotive, a different plant than the previous one, and I was hired as the production control manager there. And I had a lot of responsibility to plant managing inventory and things like that, and managing the personnel within that area. I had a really great plant manager, and around that time, in the early 1980s, the IBM PC and the Apple IIc computers were just entering the marketplace, which allowed the general public to actually use computing, even though there wasn't much computing power, software that you could actually write things, but there was enough to get started. So my boss, he decided that he was going to turn me loose on a project. He had been reading about barcoding in the retail industry and wondered Boy, we could probably use that in our plant if somebody could develop that. And he asked me to develop an application. He told me to look at the tool crib at the plant, which had millions of dollars of inventory, and they were constantly losing tools. They didn't know what they had in terms of inventory there, and they were constantly out of things that they needed. So he asked me to develop a program using barcoding, and it was kind of revolutionary at the time because barcoding was just used in retail and wasn't really in manufacturing in the early 80s. So I sat down, I learned how to do a program on my IBM PC, write programs. We bought some barcode scanners. I figured out how to hook them up and developed a program that I wrote for United Technologies for the tool crib. And we installed it into the tool crib. And lo and behold, it worked very well. We were recognized for our contributions, and myself, I received a very large cash award from United Technologies for developing this system. Now, my plant manager was really impressed with this, so he actually asked me to take barcoding through the rest of the facility for tracking inventory, for doing quality control things, and doing physical inventories, which I started out and embarked on projects and wrote projects on that and developed a paperless quality system. And we tracked every bit of the inventory in the plant with barcodes. This worked out very well. United Technologies Corporate took notice of this. And they came in and looked at that system, and then they asked me if I would head the corporate barcode project manager position to disseminate some of this technology throughout United Technologies Automotive, which I accepted to do that, and I was head of the committee that actually disseminated this stuff in United Technologies. At the same time, I was getting a little bit of recognition from some of the press within United Technologies and external, and Symbol Technologies, who was the world's largest manufacturer of barcodes scanners at that time, took notice of that. And since they were in retail and they wanted to get into manufacturing and other areas where barcoding could make sense, they asked me and invited me to become part of their customer advisory board, which I did accept, and I was on it for a whole lot of years, so that I can disseminate some of my ideas into the management of similar technologies and develop products and look at other applications within the barcode industry, which I did for all those years and received a lot of recognition from that from various press applications and spoke at conferences. And it was during this time that portable data technologies came into being. I left United Technologies with the sole purposes of organizing and creating a company that dealt with the newest in barcode technology, the 2D barcodes. And I went out and tried to start this off on my own and bootstrap it, but that didn't work too well. But because of my reputation now as an expert in this new technology, the 2D barcodes, I attracted a number of investors, most of which was Symbol Technologies, the world's largest manufacturer of barcode equipment, which I was on their board, as well as Amway Corporation, Bilmar Farms, and some local investors in Traverse City. We put together this company for the sole purpose of writing software around this new 2D barcode technology. Lucky for me, being with Symbol Technologies, they were the developers of some of the 2D technologies that were going to be used in the world in the future. And I was in part of the development of that and testing before it was released to the public, being on their board. And in Dallas, somewhere around the early 1990s, I was asked to announce the new technology, the new 2D barcode that was going to be on the market to the world. And I was selected as a keynote speaker at that conference to announce the 2D barcode and the capabilities that it had. Now, from that conference, again, I received a lot of recognition for that and a lot of notoriety. And remember, back then we didn't have the internet. Everything was done via magazines and news articles and stuff like that. There wasn't really a lot of internet traffic going on. But anyway, the automotive industry, and specifically the Automotive Industry Action Group,
which is the standards group for the automotive industry, asked me to participate in a committee to help understand the 2D barcodes and how they could be used in the automotive industry and actually do testing and select the ones that were going to be used through the automotive industry from that point on once we released that data for identification and tracking. It was a massive initiative initiated by the automotive industry. We were sponsored by Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler at that time, with participation from some of the offshore manufacturers. But I was elected the vice chair of that committee to help standardize this barcode technology and for the use within the automotive industry. And we met for every month for 2 years to discuss. We did testing, we had a lot of discussion, we had a lot of speakers, and in the end, we developed a 2D barcode symbology guidelines for the automotive industry and also helped develop the applications for where these barcodes would be used. Meanwhile, at Portable Data Technologies, we hired a bunch of people and we started writing a program. With our notoriety, one big large corporation caught on to the potential of the 2D barcode, and that was 3M Corporation in Minneapolis. And contracted us to write an application software program that would track all their worldwide PCs and equipment within the PCs. We wrote that program and we sold it to them, and we gained a lot of notoriety based on that, which resulted in more magazine articles, me being invited to speak in conferences, working with various entities, and I got a lot of publicity from this, from the magazines and writing articles and speaking at conferences all over the country. And just like that, all of a sudden, I was writing a lot of articles for magazines. I was invited to speak at conferences all over the country. And so I was devoting a lot of my time to writing articles and preparing speeches to speak at various venues around the country. And really, it wasn't really that long when I was actually placed on the covers of some of the advertisement for these large seminars and conferences that were happening around the country, which even made me more well known in terms of 2D barcodes. Here, I tried to compile a list of various conferences that I remember speaking at. There certainly are more of that. And also some of the customers and some of the consulting work I've done. If you look at the conferences I spoke at, Coble Hall, the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the Anaheim Convention Center, Dallas Convention Center, Opryland, Washington, D.C., in Chicago, McCormick Place, Navy Pier, Rock Convention Center, in Boston, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Mexico City to the Mexican government a couple times. Seattle, Charlotte, Watergate Hotel in Washington D.C., Palm Springs, Long Island, Las Vegas, Orlando, Austin, Texas, Pennsylvania Convention Center, Indianapolis, Ann Arbor, and in New Orleans. Some of the customers and some of the consulting that I've done. We mentioned the Auto Industry Action Group, but also with Ford directly, Chrysler, GM, Nissan, Honda. I've actually worked with the United States Department of Defense to help them standardize their 2D symbologies, worked with the Navy and Army bases all over the country, the National Guard in Washington, D.C., like I mentioned, the Mexican government, the United States Forestry Service, who actually had me at a forest fire out in Idaho. I work with fire departments all around the country. The United States Wine and Spirits Association to track liquor movement. Martin Marietta, United Technologies plants all over. 3M Corporation, General Dynamics, the tanks. A lot of Caterpillar plants. The Texas Department of Transportation, Ohio Steel, L3 Corporation, various facilities around the country. Actually worked with Toyota, and in 1996 we actually used our software to track emergency responders at the United States Olympics, or the U.S. Olympics, in Atlanta, Georgia. Worked with Symbol Technologies, General Atomics, who actually created the first drones that were flying over Iraq. I've worked with NASA. I've been on the bases in NASA. I've worked with arms companies like Remington. I spoke at the American Production Control and Inventory Society, Dura Automotive, which one is my large customers, and also lastly at Disney World. So I've been around. I spent a lot of time in an airplane. I actually had over 1.5 million miles, airline miles that I could use, and it was quite a trip.
Well, a funny thing came with this notoriety that I wasn't really thinking about, but companies started using me to endorse their products, which this particular slide shows one of the companies that has a picture of me endorsing their products. But um, the notoriety came, and we actually I was actually still looking for different applications, and we had a number of articles that were out there. People say technology firm leads the world, and I was looking for other applications, and I uh, I actually visited with the fire chief of the Grand Traverse Rural Fire Department, who invited me in and asked me to explain the technology to him, which I did. I explained the 2D barcode and how it could contain a lot of data. And he said, basically to me, you don't know what you have here for my fire department and our fire departments around the country. And I goes, I don't understand, Chief. He goes, let me tell you a story. There was a fire in Hackensack, New Jersey, where a whole bunch of firefighters got killed when the roof collapsed, and their chief didn't know who was in there and where they were at. With your technology, we could make that. We can identify the firefighters. They could assign them to various areas of a fire. And if anything happened, he could quickly look at a computer and figure out where those firefighters are, and we could have got them out. He says, I can tell you, I never want to be the chief that has to go back and tell the families of those firefighters that died that I was the one responsible for that because I didn't know where they're at. And I told him, I looked him in the eye and I said, Chief, you got a deal. And so what we did is we developed an application for fire departments around the country, actually around the world. It was called Fire Tracks, and what it did, it issued an ID badge to the firefighters who they were scanned in when they entered a fire to identify who they were, what they were trained to do, and their medical records that were all captured on a computer. So firefighters from various departments could check into a fire by scanning their barcode that was on their gear at a computer, and the chief would assign them based on their qualifications, and he would assign them to various sectors of a fire that was active. And so, anyway, Firetrax was born, and that was a company that we came together to make, and the rest is history.
Grown from fire tracks, the United States Olympic Committee basically selected us to track all the emergency responders at the 1996 Olympics held in Atlanta, Georgia, where we were charged with issuing credentials to people that were emergency responders, such as firemen, policemen, paramedics, etc., who were assigned various locations by scanning their barcode identification badge and assigned to various locations within the Olympic venue. So, therefore, they could track everybody's movement within the Olympics in case of an emergency. And that was a very good application that we did. Because of our knowledge and the lead that we had in the development of 2D symbologies, our investors and myself decided that we were going to apply for some patents on the technology. And over a period of a couple years, we were able to secure several patents on the technology and the application. And I am the named inventor in those particular patents. One of the last applications that we were involved with before we left portable data technology, actually transferred the software to another entity, We created a solution for the Wine and Spirits Association to track internet sales and shipping of wine products around the country. We developed that application with Cellars Masters of America, but it was currently in process at the time and then adapted by the Wine and Spirits Association as a standard as you see today. But we were instrumental in developing that. Once I left Portable Data Technologies, I went to work for Tower Automotive, and they brought me in to help try to straighten out their inventory problems. And I went in and with my barcode knowledge, we revamped basically all their systems, put in barcoding and tracked the steel inventory and the shipping, and actually did physical inventory by scanning barcodes rather than writing things down. I received two different awards from Tower Automotive for that application, and that went very well. In the meantime, we had a system that was developed by Toyota called the Kanban system. It was a manual system where you actually place cards on things and you carry it around. And when you ship them out the door, you take the card and bring it back, and it's given to production, and they make another one. It was very labor intensive. So myself and another guy at Tower Automotive actually developed a system where we would use the 2D barcodes and take the Kanban and make it so that the Kanban is born at production and then it follows through the production process. And when it's shipped, the Kanban is scanned and a new Kanban electronically is generated in the production center and the old Kanban is thrown away, which kind of revolutionized the Kanban system developed by Toyota. Toyota North America actually heard of this and actually brought in a team and spent a week to study what Tower Automotive was doing with Kanbans. They took copious notes and they went back and they revised their whole Kanban system for their whole supplier base, which they ended up adapting our system for every Toyota supplier worldwide to track shipments and to make production. So that was a big feather in the cap for Tower Automotive.